I don't know. I think about
13's good.
1 Corinthians 13 about love. I think something about love. I think if it had to be like a one sentence thing, like known as someone who is loved and loved well, like loved others well. But then I think because we were on the topic of like those letters, earlier today briefly, I think it kind of made me think about how like I don't want to have all my journals just like public to the next generation. Because there are a lot of things where I'm like, I want to burn it. But I think there are some, pages where I would love to, like, inherit it to them. So that, and not just so that it's like, I did all these things and the Lord, like, but I kind of want them to see just, like, the rawness of walking with Him.
Yeah.
Of, like, the high highs and the low lows. And even in the moments where it's, like, it was high and low. And how even that could happen within, like, just one day. Like, it was, like, fine, and then it was, like, really bad. But then it was, like, fine, and then it gets really bad. So, yeah.
Hey, Google. Hey, Google. I'll tell it. What do you want?
Accent. Hey, Google.
Hey, Google. Play Upper Room Rest.
Live by Upper Shirt, playing on YouTube Music.
No, this is different. Oh no, it is right.
Oh, okay.
Because sometimes they play something else.
The green one?
Purple. No.
What's the green one? Rest. Rest on us.
Yeah, there.
What is this green and purple?
The album cover.
Oh.
I think I also want to set an example. If I do get to have a family, I want my kids to be like, oh, Mom and Dad were really like
Cool.
Like loved each other and like loved the Lord. Like I want my
True.
kids when they're like looking for their spouse to be like, that's my standard. Like,
yeah, I think that's really.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because you could either mess them up or
right? Yeah.
Because I think but it exists, right? Like there are actually people who are like, oh, my standard is like my parents. Like I wanna
that's what it should.
have a marriage,
Right?
like they.
Yeah, so
And then I'm like, oh, I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever thought of that.
Yeah,
about
I'm
my
like,
parents.
that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
Please do tell me what that's like.
I think I've taken pages out of their books when it comes to parenting. Like even though my parents are both cray, they were amazing parents. Amazing parents.
Yeah,
That's true. Their parenting can be good, but their relationship cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
it
also be
was.
kind of-
They're really good partners, but not good like friends. They're getting there.
I think that's what it
That's
is.
true.
Like
They got their
friends.
job
They're-
done.
Like friendship,
Yeah, right?
I think is very important.
Yeah.
So like when my kids are like dating people and they're like, my dad never did that to my mom, or like my dad never talks that way to my mom, or my mom never like uses that tone with my dad.
Yeah.
Like
Right. I think like if you're kind of like if you grow up with like really healthy models of like just friendship and relationship between your parents especially,
yeah,
I think it's easier when you see like for your future partners. I think it's just very natural like to catch those things like
Yeah.
oh like that's not healthy or like
Right.
that's not normal.
Yeah.
Like or like oh this needs boundary or this needs like space. No.
It's the first relationship you see as model.
I know, right?
for real. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And marriage is supposed to be Christ in the church too. So it's like,
There's
oh,
so
my
many
mom
layers
was
to
crazy,
it.
but my dad really loved her, no matter what.
Yeah.
I think I was like really getting emotional about like loving others. Like the video that we watched with like when Michael Miller was talking about like the heart basically. And then he said something, he was like, loving Jesus is actually so easy because he's perfect. But then like
That's so true.
yeah, but like loving others, because that's like second in commandment. Like love Jesus, like love the Lord with all your heart, and then love your neighbors like and then it's like loving Jesus is easy, but then like loving the neighbor is like it's just not, it's not possible. Like it's like it's so hard.
But then he says something right after where he's like, yeah, you can be like, I love you, like, or like to Jesus be like loving him, but then he's like, love me, and then he like just points to the crowd. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, like that's how we need to like actually look at them.
Yeah.
'Cause they-
Horizontal.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's
No, 'cause they're
also a
made in the
passage.
image.
I don't remember where. I was like in Romans or something, but there's like a passage about how like loving others or like helping other believers is a way of showing our love to
Mm.
the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly.
Which,
Exactly.
but also what you're sharing is kind of funny to me because I struggle with just love in general.
Mm.
And so the irony for me is not really understanding if he actually loves me and how much or if I love him is the ongoing conversation I've had.
Maybe it is in a way easier to
Yeah.
love Jesus because technically you can always love better. Like there's no end to loving. There's no like limit to loving. You can always love better.
Yeah.
And so I think because Jesus is unending and the Lord is unending in that way, like I can always love him and there's no end to it because he has no end. And he will always love me better and he can always outlove me. But then I am so bad at loving like my neighbors. And I think I will see an end to how much I can love my neighbor. Like I will feel like see it physically. And then I think it's just like it's hard because it's like I can see that I can always love them better. But it's like it's very I think painful for me sometimes to acknowledge that. Like, oh my gosh, I could have loved my parents better. I could have loved this person better. And then I think that's when like grace, I guess, comes into. But yeah. But I'm just glad that he can always outlove us. Like he will always outlove, I think. Yeah. I think I didn't want to be remembered. It didn't matter to me, like whether I was remembered or not. But I think if I was remembered, I think it would be great if people knew that, oh, like she was actually like his friend, like the Lord's friend. Like, oh wow, like she actually loved the Lord and the Lord loved her. And if in any way, I think that's like, it could be visibly marked while I live here. I think that's something I wanted myself to be remembered as now. Like, that's how I think now. But I think before I never really cared whether I was remembered or not.
I think you're already doing that. Because I think I thought I remember the note I wrote you where I was like, I don't remember everything that I wrote, but I do remember writing like you like really come alive when like you're worshiping or when like you're like in the presence of the Lord. And I feel like that's how people are with their friends. Like sometimes I think about like my students and I'm like, oh, they're so quiet. But then when they're with their friends, they're like themselves.
Right.
And so I feel like you really are like pure TA when you're like in the presence of the Lord or like at his feet. And I think that's what friendship is when you're like free to be yourself.
Yeah.
If you could have any fictional character as your friend, who would you choose and why?
Amazing question.
Great.
One came to mind immediately, but I feel like I need to think about the other. Oh no, I have two.
Like actually though, not like, oh, this is my favorite character. Or people say I look like this character.
Yeah,
Nothing like that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, if you think about their character, their family background, their
Oh my god.
Wait, let me think.
Profiling them.
Damn.
As your friend, who would you choose?
as your friend, yeah.
Why?
Like actually, who would you want as your friend?
Hmm.
We could also just write, who would you want to marry?
You have to hear me out.
That'd be so different. That would be a different.
I did a PowerPoint slide thing
Hear
with
me
my
out.
friends from the States recently, and we had a hear me out.
Really?
section. It was so funny. One
Oh
of my
my
friends put the. Did you guys watch Teletubbies? She put the
sun?
No,
Oh, that'd be.
not the microwave. The vacuum from Teletubbies.
I don't remember.
Wait,
Vacuum?
the vacuum? Hold
I
on,
don't
I need
remember.
to look this up.
The vacuum from Teletubbies. It was so funny.
Hold on.
She said, and I quote, "I feel like he gets freaky."
Freak-
Julianne.
Freaky deaky.
You're gonna love her. She comes in 14 days.
Wait, but like...
No, wait, show me.
Don't go.
Oh
She
my
said, I
god.
think it's freaky.
Oh my
Ew, no.
Wait, so
I
she
cannot
wants
get
to marry?
behind that.
No,
No.
she was like, this is
This
like a
kind
hear
of-
me out, where it's like, he kind of cute.
Oh, okay.
Like they put a picture of like
No,
Drew
yeah,
from
but I was
it,
like,
you know?
what hear me out was this? Because we just
Yeah.
talked about marriage. I was like, she wants to marry the vacuum
Yeah,
cleaner.
it's just
Kinda.
yeah.
It was so funny.
There's a good
Dude,
character.
Flynn Rider? Hey, that's a hear me out.
That's a hear me out. That's not a hear me. That's a.
That's a
That's a-
certified smash.
That's just if you have ears, you hear.
Yeah. That's not a hear me out. That's a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have ears, you will know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, wait. Hey Google. Play You're So Pretty by Wasia Project.